alav shalom, about the famous story, or not so famous story, about Hanukkah, is a woman named Yehudit. She was an 18-year-old girl who went against the Hellenization of the Jewish people. So one girl made a huge impact on the whole story of Hanukkah, to the point where she became so famous, the custom became in Am Yisrael to also eat dairy on Hanukkah to merit the merit of the great deeds of Yehudit. We know that in those days the story was the Jews used to run away to the caves in order to study Torah. Matityahu the Kohen Gadol also left Jerusalem and he went to live in the city, in the village of Modi'in. His daughter, the daughter of the Kohen Gadol, right? His daughter Yehudit saw her fathers and her brothers, known as the Chashmonaim. They were praying, they were learning, they were weeping, and she said, I have to do something. I also want to contribute. So she did Mesirut Nefesh. So she went to the Greek officer and said, I'm getting engaged. So what happens? They used to do is when the girl is getting engaged, Jewish girl is getting engaged, you have to spend 1 week with one of the officers, one of the Greek officers. She said, I'm the daughter of the Kohen Gadol. So therefore, I should only go with an equal man who is also the head of the officers, the chief. So they said, yes, no problem. You're going to go and spend a week with the Greek general. So therefore, she brought her bag. She brought all her stuff to look pretty with her. She served him dairy products, gave him nice wine till he was drunk. She took out a big knife from her makeup bag and she cut off his head. So she quickly wrapped it up, put it in her bag, and she left. Ushla. She went all the way to Modi'in. She put the head of the Greek general on the table, and she shocked her family members. She said to them in that moment, if Hashem helped me, a young girl, kill their leader, the Greek general, Hashem will help you also succeed in your war. Hashem will also help you. So therefore, we see a tremendous zechut of one person teaching others. And then Chashmonaim, who are the Chashmonaim? One small family. You have 13 Kohanim and the Kohen Gadol. They got up, they never fought in a war. They're all rabbis, learning all day, serving in the temple. All of a sudden, they're going to fight 80,000 Greeks, and Hashem was on their side. They had the Greeks had elephants. They had advanced warfare. They had battle plans. They went to school for these things, and still a bunch of rabbis beat them. How? The power of Mesirat Nefesh, the power of one Jew, how it could inspire many. So if we have to learn from this in the days of Hanukkah, that even one candle is significant, and each person who does this little bit towards the sake of Am Yisrael is also valuable. The person has to push himself and say, oh, little old me, what could I do? No. We see the power of one individual, how it inspires many. As Avram Avinu, our forefather, he was the first one. He was called Avraham HaEvri. HaEvri means the Hebrew. The Hebrew really means the source for the word Ever, means Ever Lanar. He was on the other side. What does it mean the other side? The whole world was on one side, believing in Avodah Zarah, and he was on the other side, believing in monotheism and one God. And that ended up leading to a whole nation of the chosen people, the Jewish people, from one man who made a belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, they said to them that we have to learn from this, that it's possible to change the world one person at a time, and it will be a cascade effect. It will be a snowball. It will eventually start like the shiur, right? The shiur starts with 1, 2 people, then 7, then 10, then 20, then 30, then 40. It goes and it goes and it goes, but you just have to start somewhere. As Rav Aaron Kotler, alav shalom, was famous for coming to America from Europe, and there was no Torah in America at that time. And he said, they said to him, oh, America, Amreka, it's an empty nation, there's no Torah there, what are you going to do there? Choyes tam. So he said, don't worry, we're going to make Torah. Impossible. There's people so far from Torah there. You're never going to make an empire of Torah there. They're never going to make a yeshiva. And nonetheless, he went and he pushed himself. Ended up being that he made the rest of the Lakewood and the great yeshiva that he made, and many students who went to make other yeshivot. And Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of Torah in America. And all his zechut to this, that he had a vision, he believed, and he pushed himself, and he said, no, one person is not nothing. One person is something, it could lead to one thing to the other. The Yesod Shorish Ve'avodah, he writes in a sefer, when a person is inspired to do a mitzvah, Hashem immediately sends angels to go help him, to give him heavenly assistance, resources, and strength to bring this idea into reality. The angels come all the way from Kisei HaKavod. So that's why you have sometimes the people who say, I want to make a shiur. I want to start making a new class. So then all of a sudden somebody says to him, you know what? Don't worry, I'll sponsor the books. Yeah, bring the rabbi, make a shiur, I'll sponsor the books. Another person says, I do it in this place. I have a place you could do the shiur. All of a sudden, he said one thing. All of a sudden, people start getting involved, start helping, want to make something happen. Why? Because this person, once he verbalized and he committed, Hashem sends angels to help you. Angels could take form of people. Angels could take form of resources. Angels could take form many ways. So therefore, the Rav Nissim Yagen ends over here. He says he one time called a taxi for a visitor. A few minutes later, he heard honking. So what happened? He went to go see, and the visitor was gone, but the angry taxi driver was there. So what happened? The visitor took a different taxi, got a ride with someone, right? And I called the taxi, and he got upset that he didn't go in the taxi. So the rabbi went over to the taxi driver. He says, I apologize, I'm sorry. So it didn't help. The taxi driver was upset. He says, I didn't come for nothing. So the rabbi said, you're right. So he paid him something. Then he says what? He says, they didn't come for nothing, he said. Right? The taxi driver, he says, I didn't come for nothing. So you should know the same thing with us, says Rav Yagen. Hashem, you say, I want to do a mitzvah, so Hashem sends you a taxi. Hashem sends you the angels to come assist you. You should know the angels also say, I didn't come for nothing. You have to realize that they're here to help us, and it's not enough to want to do good and to say, B'ezrat Hashem, I will do good. You should really believe that one person who says, I'm going to do good, and he does it, he will be successful, he will do good. It's not just he wants, he will do good, and we will zocheh to have a lot of siyat d'shmaya. Whoever wants to become pure, from Shamayim, they must help him. Baruch